You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today's guest is Christian Yordanov, and the topic is what happens to the body when it can't detox properly. So Christian Yordanov is a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and author of the book Autism Wellbeing Plan, How to Get Your Child Healthy. He's a certified Buteyko breathing instructor, PN1 nutrition coach, Grow Baby practitioner, DNA fit trainer, and certified in personal training, fitness instruction, and sports and event massage therapy. Wow, that's a huge amount to get my mouth around. Sorry about that. Christian uses advanced lab testing to identify hidden metabolic and health imbalances and teaches clients how to use diet, supplementation, detoxification, stress reduction, sleep optimization, and other strategies to help address chronic health issues and transform their health. I'm so happy to be doing this podcast because detoxification issues are huge today and extremely important for the body to rebalance pH. Otherwise, the resulting acidosis can block the work of magnesium and other vital nutrients. So, Christian, what have you found in your practice are typical symptoms of detoxification problems?
Really, Sandy, the whole spectrum of symptoms. So some people come to me with fatigue, brain fog, or very serious things like dizziness and mood issues. But other people, they have less specific symptoms, just a general feeling of I don't feel well, I don't have energy. Some people have gut problems. So there's literally, if you don't detoxify what's coming in from the environment and the endogenously produced toxins, which there's plenty of as well. Not just toxins, but also hormones need to be detoxified. Things like breakdown products of cells at the end of their life cycle, they need to be either recycled or detoxified. So if that process is backed up, quote unquote, you're going to have a number of different health complaints develop over time.
Yes, so that's got a strong connection with gut health, as you mentioned, and acid reflux and irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut. Even oxalate sensitivity can produce a lot of acid wastes, and Crohn's disease, that's linked to genetics, I believe. However, there are other gut problems which are non-Crohn's, non-genetic, which are completely environmentally influenced. So all of us, I think, can be paying a lot more attention to what's happening in the body and how to get rid of our waste. So I think of the body as like a factory. So we need to make energy. We need to produce things to make new cells. We need good nutrients in our food coming in to supply that factory. And then there's byproducts of the factory that are waste products that have to be eliminated. So you mentioned the endogenous. So they're the waste the factory produces from making energy. And then there are other chemicals that we can absorb from the environment as well. So the body, I believe, can handle a kind of, exposures to waste products and chemicals, but there is always a limit. And it depends on our health and degree of fitness as well. And how well the organs are performing to do that detoxification. And so I think the problem these days, by and large, is being overwhelmed by just too much and not having the resources to eliminate. What did you find with that statement? Do you agree?
Absolutely agree. And I believe most people, or a very large majority of people, have two problems. Suboptimal nutritional status, so vitamins, minerals, and protein being the big ones. And through that, suboptimal detoxification. So if you don't get the energy and nutrients required for detoxifying the daily exposures, which we are all, absolutely every single one of us on a daily basis has multiple, I'm talking dozens, at least 2-3 dozen minute but cumulative toxic exposure. So on any given day, let's say myself, I am exposed to fumes from diesel and petrol engines, mercury in the air, other polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are combustion byproducts in the air. Even though all the food I buy is organic and or wild caught, there will be invariably traces of toxic metals, traces of pesticides, traces of all sorts of chemicals, because there's like literally 3,000 chemicals used in food processing, right? So there will always be traces of chemicals in your food supply. Even though I use shower filters and a reverse osmosis system, you will always get a little bit of exposure in dozens of different ways. Plastics, dust in the house carries certain compounds, mold, pollen, whatever else. So these things are coming into the body constantly. Some of us are less careful about managing our exposures, and that's again the majority of people, unfortunately, and that's why we're here trying to educate everybody. But those folks, what happens is they get exposed on a daily basis, and this accumulates over the months, years, and decades. And eventually, if your nutritional status is not up to par, you slowly get depleted, your antioxidant gets used up, your minerals, your energy and reserves are being used to defend and protect your body. And over time, as you get overwhelmed by the influx of toxins, not equaled or compensated for by nutritional status and increasing, nutrient supplementation to deal with it, that's when people start to develop at first dysfunction at the cellular level. That dysfunction eventually translates to the tissue level. The tissue makes up organs. So then eventually, if enough dysfunction at the tissue level accumulates, the organ becomes dysfunctional. The next thing is organ systems. So we're talking about, the cardiovascular system and so on. And after that, the bigger organizational level above that is the human, the organism. So these minor dysfunctions accumulating eventually translate to at the organism level, the human level, and that's where we see overt symptoms, diagnosable conditions. And for some people, it will take decades to develop. Other people with a lot of exposure and suboptimal nutrition, it could take months or a couple of years to develop. It all depends on nutritional status again, level of exposure, and to a very, very small degree, genetic susceptibility.
Yes, it sounds to me like a big compost heap, to use another analogy. And so what happens when material, organic matter decomposes? It becomes acidic because the molds and the bad bacteria move in, because their job is to break up elements and return it back to the soil, and they're the recyclers of nature. But we don't want them working in our body while we're alive and fit and well. That is supposed to happen after we leave, and
Sure.
and we don't need the body anymore, and then it can be recycled. So we can have problems with inflammation because that compost heap of bad bugs can influence our immune system. It triggers the immune system, doesn't it? We can get allergies or rashes on the skin, or what other kind of inflammatory issues can develop from toxicity?
Again, literally, I have a course all about detoxing and stuff like that. So I have, I think, 6 or 7 different slides on the various symptoms that have in the research have been associated with toxicity, right? Literally, you just mentioned a bunch of them. So from skin stuff to a lot of toxins are immunosuppressive, or I shouldn't say a lot. Some toxins are immunosuppressive. So when you ingest them or inhale them, or somehow they end up in your body, they can literally damage immune system cells. That in itself can cause an imbalance in immune system cells, which can predispose us to autoimmunity. But what it also does is it makes us more susceptible to infections, or we take longer to heal, just any number of things. And of course, the immune system is, at the end of the day, it's what keeps cancer cells at bay. So on a really extreme level, it could even promote or exacerbate carcinogenicity, right? So that's one thing the toxins can do. literally a lot of toxins are inflammatory in nature, so they cause inflammation. So where that inflammation happens is likely where you're going to see some type of dysfunction or pathology develop. So if it happens in the nervous system, brain cells, neurons can be damaged or even die. And when one neuron dies, it can take others along with, or
Yes.
it can damage others around it.
You could
So
get dementia or Alzheimer's
yeah,
or
yeah,
other kind of mental disorders, migraine headaches.
sure.
A lot of researchers I heard have been associating certain bacteria and viruses with certain diseases, but the inference is that they're causing it. And I think that's really old school, that the bugs aren't really the ones in control, that they are just opportunists coming in to take advantage of a depleted system that doesn't have the pH in order. It's starting to decay. It's starting to break down from the acids. It doesn't have the nutrients, as you suggested, to give us the muscle to fight back. And that leads to less oxygen as well. So we know the bad bugs don't like the oxygen, right? So we need
Yeah, I mean, like so we in the gut, like I run quite a lot of stool tests on clients, and when there's a lot of quote unquote opportunistic bacteria in the gut, so they are normally kept in check by the others, commensals as they're known. They can also be called beneficial bacteria, but there's some researchers now are even saying that there is no such thing as beneficial bacteria. Some are just more aggressive and harmful than others, but any bacteria or any species or strain, if allowed to overgrow, will cause us problem because they exude various chemicals in too great a supply.
more
can
toxins.
Yeah, and some of them are like the gram-negative bacteria. They have so the outer cell wall has little fragments called LPS, lipopolysaccharides, which are also known as endotoxins. So during their life cycle, they shed these endotoxins. And if your gut is compromised, whether that's from increased toxins in the food that can literally damage the gut, or it could be an infection, or any combination of these things, these endotoxins get into the bloodstream, and they cause an immune reaction. So and they can also open up the blood-brain barrier that allows any other toxin circulating to get easier access to the brain. And we already touched on Alzheimer's, dementia, these things. Definitely, I think it's very disingenuous at this point to talk about genetic causes for these things. We have so many environmental causal factors that are like really staring us in the face, screaming at us, that we have to really start thinking, how can we improve the environment for ourselves and our family and our friends in order to prevent these causal mechanisms from occurring to the extent where they cause overt disease.
But if you have a genetic predisposition to something, say breast cancer or diabetes, you can have those genetics and never ever get symptoms if you have a good lifestyle with the right ingredients and environmental exposures. And so your body can recover better. You just become the canary in the mine shaft so that you can't take as much abuse as somebody else. So you have to just be more careful, but you can navigate life quite well and be quite healthy. It doesn't need to be, a death sentence or, something really bad. It's just something we need to be aware of. And, know who we are, know what we can and can't do, what we can and can't get away with. And I guess that it helps if we can see a practitioner that understands how to check those things and give us a better idea of our own profile so that we can be better managers. It's not a question of wait for the problems and then wait for someone to come and save you. If it has to be, it's up to you. You've got to take control of yourself and your own health if you want it to work the best it can be. And I found this with our magnesium business. We have a lot of people with rashes, allergic reactions, or nurses and doctors simply were scrubbing their hands a lot before surgery with very, very strong alcohols and
Mm,
detergents, and it rips all the good stuff out of the skin
yeah.
barrier, opens it up, causes dermatitis, and then it's persistent. They can't get rid of it. So
Mm,
we have a lot of nurses and doctors absolutely loving our magnesium cream because it's very protective of the skin barrier.
mhm.
It's got no chemicals in it, and it delivers magnesium without having to digest the tablets, which some people are, have problems with in the digestive system. So
Yeah.
it solves a lot of problems. So that's given me some background knowledge into the connections with skin and our detox organs. So when we get overloaded, I've found that the liver is struggling a little bit to eliminate everything. And so there's a spillover effect
Hmm.
in because more stuff comes out through the lymph system, which lets out under the skin. Is that what you
Yeah.
found?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For example, by the way, you have very nice skin. I should compliment you.
Oh, thank you.
Um, that means you've been looking after yourself and your liver and your detoxification system. And when I see older folks, usually it's older folks, 50 plus, well, 60 plus, let's say, um, that have spots, quote unquote age spots. I always think to myself, how do I tell this person without being too in their face about the liver flush, the liver cleanse? I don't know if you've heard about this procedure.
Yeah, yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how do I crowbar the liver cleanse into the conversation, because they're going to love it? And basically, it's exactly what you said. So when the liver starts to get congested, quote unquote, basically the body is so good at excreting toxins in various different ways that it starts to use the skin literally to detoxify things. And that's where we start to develop these pigmentations, because that is things like bilirubin and I think it's called lipofuscin. Another thing actually causing those age spots, I believe, is the overuse of seed oils in the diet. So the polyunsaturated omega-6 fatty acids, those are very easily damaged and oxidized. So when you're out in the sun, if a lot of your subcutaneous fat is omega-6 polyunsaturated, those are highly unstable, very easily oxidizable fatty acids. So the ultraviolet, the UV light from the sun hits those, and it literally damages them, and that causes sort of this localized damage. So that's, I think, another thing, another toxin in our food supply that we don't actually consider a toxin. We think these seed oils are just, not great, but they're a food, still a food group. They're not a food group. I personally consider them a poison to because even if they are essential for health, let's say we need a couple of grams a day, many people are eating 10, 20, 30 times more than that. Like we're
Too
talking
much.
literally.
And they're
Yeah,
also cooking with it and they're
yeah,
overheating them. They're very fragile, these oils, and they should only be
yeah,
kept as cold pressed, cold salad oil and
yes,
in an opaque container where they're not
yeah,
exposed
in
to
the
light
fridge.
and in the fridge. And then you can preserve that goodness longer. But
Yeah.
I don't think we're taught to, you know, look after our food and preserve the goodness. We even buy seed oils, or I don't, but they're available in the supermarket, um, totally exposed to sunlight in plastic containers,
Yeah.
see-through
Yeah.
containers. So it's not the way to go because
No.
the oxidation introduces too many free radicals. The free radicals consume us. They become acids in the body, which dissolve us faster, age us faster. So the
Mm-hmm.
more mindful we can become, I think, to contribute more antioxidants to that total blend, the more the body can fight back, defend us, and detox. I also found that if you don't pay attention to regular maintenance and detoxification, that the acidic environment that leads to the chronic fatigue. As you said, it can lead to a lot of headaches, and also magnesium deficiency
Mm-hmm.
is a result because we lose magnesium excessively under stress. Lower
Mm-hmm.
magnesium levels always correspond with fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
headaches, muscle spasms, all sorts of electrolyte problems,
Mm-hmm.
um, heart issues eventually as well. You know, we just need it for everything because it basically is the electrical system. It's absolutely vital
it's the energy carrier. ATP is
yes,
bound with magnesium, so it's if you don't
have to have it.
If you don't have a lot of energy, think about what's missing from your nutrition.
So let's get to the part about if people want to learn more about how to detox, what would be kind of common things for, you know, there are always exceptions to the rule and there are more extreme cases, but let's look at the middle ground. What can the average person do to make sure that they're, you know, it's not just about I'm doing a poo every day because that may not give you all of the detoxification you need. That might be bits stuck in the grooves and not coming out. Do you know what I mean? And you know, should people be doing coffee enemas, which has had a big trend recently, or, you know, as you mentioned, like a liver cleanse, juice, broth fasting, or fasting in general? What would be your preferred mix of good detox strategies?
First of all, I've nothing against fasting, but I think most people are not ready to fast because, first of all, most people are very depleted. Maybe not your listeners, but again, we're talking about the average person in the general population. Most people are very depleted in terms of, you know, nutritional status, mineral status, and it's very well known that toxins accumulate in fatty tissue. So if you start fasting or even very strenuous exercise, we through we shred fatty tissue, a lot of these toxins get released, and a lot of polyunsaturated fatty acids get released that can be damaging if in excess, because we don't have the antioxidants to deal with them. So I would reserve fasting for healthier individuals or folks far further along the
because they can have an excessive dumping of toxins all in one go, which when released and circulating in the system can make you feel doubly bad.
Oh yeah, and I have clients that tried to lose weight that way, and two months into it, they said, I really felt crap that way. I hope we won't be doing this time. And like, no, with weight loss with me doesn't involve dieting, fasting, hard exercise, you know, crazy stuff like that. It should be stress-free, right? This is a big stress on the body. So for the basics are, so I always like to talk about the triad. So there's three things people need to do. Reduce current toxic exposures, because you can't out detox a poor diet and lifestyle. So, you know, all the basics. Reverse osmosis or distilled water, you know, organic food, organic cleaning products, personal care products, all of that stuff. No conventional poisons.
No, avoid the mold.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then we want to support our body's detoxification system. So, you know, minerals, magnesium, zinc, selenium, these are absolutely critical. Calcium as well needs to be balanced with magnesium. Then the B vitamins are important to get them either from liver, meat, animal products. Liver is the best source, really. It's like nature's multivitamin. Egg yolks are a really good source. And then a good high quality B vitamin to fill in any gaps, because we need to support the energy system, because it indirectly supports the detoxification system. Nothing in the body can happen without energy. So that's supporting and then there's certain amino acids that I really like to use. So glycine, some folks really benefit from N-acetylcysteine, also known as NAC. Taurine can also support detoxification and many countless other functions in the body, heart health, eye health as well.
What about digestion? For heavy metals? I believe some practitioners like to use selenium for heavy metals.
Selenium. That's why I mentioned it. It can directly chelate mercury. It supports certain antioxidant enzymes as well. So it's really, and the fact that it's also used in thyroid hormone metabolism is very important, because suppressed thyroid function will really sort of halt everything in the body. So we want to make sure we support that.
And then directly related to metabolism, the thyroid.
Absolutely. Oh, it's like the master regulator in many ways. And then finally, then we can talk about getting rid of excess, or rather of the stored up toxins. So you already kind of hit on a few things. So if folks have never done colonics, I would recommend 3 colonic irrigations. Let's say one per week, and then maybe once a year or once every 6 months. That's a good way to keep the colon cleansed and unobstructed, because there can be there's certain things called diverticuli that can develop in some people, and they're like literally like little caverns inside in the protruding out of the
balloon
large
outwards.
intestine. Yeah, and then food, parasites, various microbial biofilms can develop in there. They can get stuck. So that's one thing. Coffee enemas, you would need to do them regularly to get really the benefits, but as a unblocking cleanse once a week is also beneficial. Coffee enemas also stimulate the liver to secrete bile, so they can decongest the liver.
And to make glutathione.
Yes, it increases glutathione production. And those liver cleanses I was talking about are really beneficial. Like I've done dozens of them at this point, and they're just like, I recommend them to all my clients. Really, really good. I consider them a game changer. And then sauna, that's another huge one that most people are still not leveraging. Even if you go on Amazon and buy 2 or 3 infrared light bulbs for $20 or so and set them up so you get enough heat on your skin to start developing a sweat, even that a few times a week will have benefit. Ideally, if you can create a makeshift sauna or buy a small sauna unit for the home, doesn't really matter if it's infrared, far infrared. The important thing is to be in a restful state and sweating, because it's not the same as exercise. So sauna is a huge one. I really like.
If you can excrete, if you can excrete through the skin, it lifts the load off the kidney and the liver as well. You're really helping those detox organs not do so much work. And I might also add that if you're going to do saunas, you really need to drink a lot of water. And you did mention water before, and yes, getting a proper filtration is very important, especially if you live in a fluoridated area, because fluoride directly competes and blocks magnesium, and it's not a nutrient, and it's a toxin, and it can be stored in the bones and makes everything brittle over time, and takes away from the strength and resilience of your bones. So what your bones need is more magnesium, which brings the moisture in, which helps the shock absorbing capacity. So if you drink fluoridated items, your fluoride will steal the magnesium in the body and make you more brittle and age faster over time. So that's it in a nutshell. And so we recommend putting the minerals back in the water after you take all of the chemicals and the bad stuff out. Then it's empty water, and it's slightly acidic. So by introducing the minerals back in, and you can just use some Celtic or some Himalayan salt as well, but that's higher in sodium. So we have magnesium chloride salt, which is low or no sodium, and that works really well to put the electrolytes back in, and the water tastes great. Is it just
magnesium chloride?
Magnesium chloride, and because it's food grade, it's not 100. It's not pharmaceutical grade. It still has 2% of all the C trace minerals in it. You know, potassium and iron. And so it's a really, really nice tasting mineral water. So drink a lot, because when you're sweating it out, you need to put it back to support the heart and the circulation.
Sure, yeah.
And stop you from getting headaches as well, because headaches are often a cause of dehydration, and people need to be aware of that. Just don't pop an aspirin or a headache tablet if you get a headache. It could be that you're dehydrated.
Yes, absolutely.
So if people want to contact you to find out more, where should they go? Do you have a website?
Yes, my name is my website, christianyordanov.com, and they can find all my work there. I'm not super up to date on the social media stuff. I was off social media for a couple of years, so the best way is to go to the website.
Yeah, we'll have it underneath the YouTube video as well in the text. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people will get good things out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. This was really awesome. I would love to have you on my show as well, because I would love to tackle the topic of magnesium in much more depth with you.
Awesome. Yes, it's a huge topic. I love it.
Yeah.
Once you dig down, you get really passionate about magnesium.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and magnesium special offers at electromagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.